The Chargers have been spiraling the last 2 weeks, and they need their quarterback to save them this week if they want to avoid a 3-game skid.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, when the skies are falling and you need that hero to save you, Justin Herbert has to answer the call here for the Chargers. They need their superstar quarterback to put that cape on and go make the plays necessary to win this game. On defense, you got to get Tua on the move. Get him off his first read, get him off his first spot. If you're able to do that, you are going to use his immobility against him, which is going to be great. And of course, we wrap things up with our bold and game predictions.
Can Odafe Oweh have a grand debut? We're going to get into all of it, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Dolphins, Chargers, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, West Coast to East Coast trip, and a bad matchup for the Chargers offense, at least as far as one aspect, and that is the offensive line going up against this pass rush. But the Dolphins defense against the run has been terrible. David, you decided to go in a different direction today, especially probably because the loss of Omarion Hampton. But you think the biggest key for this game is their quarterback in Los Angeles to show up in a big way and make sure they go beat a team they're supposed to.
Yeah, I think after the last couple of games for the Chargers, it's been sloppy, it's been undisciplined. They've made a lot of mistakes. They've not created turnovers, and they've turned the ball over. So in those moments, you need somebody to be able to be that stopper, to be that guy, to be able to change the tide, to be able to answer the call and bring your team up and elevate them. And I know that person is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has to be the guy here to elevate his team around him. If he sees those open running lanes, he has to attack it. He needs to create off script. He has to be able to throw on the run, keep those plays alive, and just put the team on his back. This is why you pay a quarterback the type of money that you pay Justin Herbert, because you believe he has the ability to change the whole tide of a football game. I think Justin Herbert has to be that guy to step up, be the leader, and answer the call and will his team to a victory.
Yeah, I totally understand it, and it does feel like it's a game he could be running around a lot, so, like, he is going to have to be a wizard in the pocket. Like, he's going to have to navigate that well. He's going to have to pick his, timing correctly when he decides to go and get out and try to rush and scramble. But, yeah, it's hard, man, because, like, last week you go back, and I remember rewatching the game and just thinking, like, man, Justin Herbert played excellently, and they still only scored 10 points. But I do think the one thing that's the easy Achilles heel to look at going up against this Dolphins defense is their run defense. I mean, it's been atrocious. The Chargers obviously have seen their own defense perform terribly against the run, but that it kind of pales in comparison to what the Dolphins defense has done so far this year, including giving up 206 yards to Rico Dowdle last week and 239 yards in total against the Panthers, who didn't have a vaunted rushing attack. David, I think the thing for me is just like, a running back has to step up. Is it a Kamani Vidal? Is it Hassan Haskins? I think it might be a hot hand situation, but one thing's for sure. They have to, like, if they can't get the running game going without Omarion Hampton in this game, it's cooked until he gets back, in my opinion.
100%. I think this right here, like, you have to run at these guys all day long. Like, they cannot stop the run to save their life. 156, 122, 157, 197, 239. Those are the rushing totals that this Miami Dolphins defense has surrendered this season. It is bad. They have 7 players on their defense that have missed multiple tackles against the run specifically. So as talented as they are at getting after the passer, they cannot stop the run to save their life. The Chargers have to take advantage of this glaring vulnerability. Whether it's Haskins, whether it's Vidal, it's probably going to be both of them. They need to take advantage of this matchup because there will be running lanes, no matter how small they may be.
Yeah, and it's tough because, I mean, the Chargers also have a super banged up offensive line, which we're going to talk about as well. So it's like, could you trust them to be able to open up these holes? If they can't do it against this team, they're not going to be able to do it. I mean, you're talking in 26th in run defense success rate, 30th in yards before contact allowed, 28th in yards after contact. They've given up 871 yards on the ground through 5 games. That's 137 more yards than any other team in the NFL. So I just think that somebody has to do it. We always talk about these late round running backs and maybe not getting their full chance to shine, whether it's, Larry Roundtree or Isaiah Spiller or Josh Kelly, whoever it is. This is your chance, Kamani Vidal, right? Or Hassan Haskins. Yeah. Maybe it's Amar Johnson, who maybe they bring somebody up. But one of these guys has to step up and do something and take advantage of this obvious great matchup that they have. I mean, nobody's gone for less than 100 yards. That has to be the absolute watermark, the bare minimum the Chargers can have in this game. But I think the other big thing for me is just you can't let the story of this game be about the Miami pass rush, because if it is, you're going to lose. I mean, this is a very bad team. I mean, they've been close. They hung in with the Bills. They should have won last week. It's a bad team they're playing against, but it's a bad matchup for the Chargers because the other team has Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb and Chop Robinson. And to go along with that, Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins have not practiced all week. Jamari Sawyer, right, the next guy up behind those two guys, went from limited participation on Wednesday and then was not a participant on Thursday. That means your first 4 tackle options in this game are either out or haven't practiced on Thursday at the very latest,
Yikes.
Right? So, like, you could be down to tackles 5 and 6 in this game. Will Dissly, David, me and you have talked about it, full practice off the injury report. That's a great sign. They need him. They need him to have a big Will Dissly game, and it could be a 0 reception game. But that's why you're trying to run the ball, right? Like, if you have to go max protection, then so be it. If only if you guys can go out on this route. There's nothing in that secondary outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick and Rasul Douglas, who's still super solid, that scares you at all. If you can give Justin Herbert any time, he should torch this Miami Dolphins defense. It's just so hard to have faith in it, and they can't let that be the story of this game.
100%. No question about it. They have to do what they can to try to slow this pass rush. And I think for me, a way to do that is stay out of 3rd and long. Stay out of those obvious pass rushing situations. Don't allow them to be able to pin their ears back. Try to keep things manageable. If you're able to run the ball effectively, then you should see more 3rd and 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, right? Which is where you want to live, so that you can continue to convert, keep possession of the football. It helps your offense stay on the field, helps your defense rest up and be able to get back on the field, feel healthy and feel good. And you're able to keep your offense in rhythm. There's so many positive benefits of staying out of 3rd and long. If the Chargers can do that, then I love their chances on offense to find success.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think the thing that they've shown us is even while banged up, if they stay on schedule, they can work offensively and move the ball offensively. What kills the drives are the penalties and getting behind the sticks and getting into those 3rd and long situations, which is why my last key is 0 turnovers and 5 or less penalties.
Please.
Like, I think if you just hit those numbers, right? If you don't give away the football, because we saw how much 1 turnover, 1 giveaway can change the entire complexion of a game last week. And if you can cut in half the amount of penalties that you've had in the last 2 weeks in each of those games, right? 24 penalties over 2 weeks, back-to-back games. The Chargers have turned the ball over multiple times. They hadn't even done it in 2 straight games under Jim Harbaugh. They've done it in 3 straight games in 2025. These are all just recipes for disaster. They're all recipes for how you lose to a bad team. We just saw them lose on an East Coast road trip against Giants did beat the Eagles tonight, but a Giants team they absolutely should have beat. So that's the last thing for me. I think one way to stay out of those 3rd and long situations is not have penalties. And then when you are in 3rd and long, also don't get penalized when you take away, your quarterback doing superhuman things. But we do have to talk about the defensive side of things. And if the Chargers can get Tua off of his spot and make him run around and stop the bleeding in their run defense, they should have a pretty dominant performance. We're going to talk about all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts for a fast project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process even smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to go sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. David, now it's time to flip things over to the defensive side of things. And the Miami Dolphins will always kind of be an interesting game because of the quarterbacks and their link to each other. And it's been interesting also to see how their careers have developed, right, and unfolded so far. Neither one has had, any sort of playoff success or anything like that. But after getting picked with back-to-back picks, it's hard not to watch the other guy and think about what if. Because had the Dolphins taken Justin Herbert, the Chargers would have taken Tua, and Tom Telesco has said that. So, It's been weird watching it. But obviously, the one thing about Tua was he was very polished coming out of college, where Justin Herbert was kind of the freak athlete that fit all the physical profiles, which Tua has made a ton of money for himself, being a guy that even with lesser athletic ability, even with a lesser arm, has been able to make himself generational money for a reason. He does a lot of things really, really well. If he can stay in rhythm, if he can stay on time, if he can plant his feet, he is a good quarterback, period. And I've watched enough of him to say that. Now, he has limitations. And one of those limitations is, and I know this from, Dolphins fans and from watching the games, when Tua runs, not even just scrambles, but once he starts moving, every Dolphins fan holds their breath. Because he either could take a hit that's going to knock him out of the game, or he's going to try to make a throw that he probably just can't do while on the run with the arm strength that he has. Either way, those are good things for the Chargers. So I do think that the biggest key for me in this game, which is helped by, having an Odafe Oweh in the mix now, get Tua off his spot, get him out of the pocket, make him uncomfortable, and get him off of his first read. You could have a dominant day defensively.
And a great way and a great place to start in doing that, it would be attacking the left guard, Jonah Savaiinaia. And the reason why, and you're going to probably have to do a double take here, Mr. Savaiinaia has a pass block grade of 0.0. And that is not a mistake. That is a 100% actual stat on PFF. He has allowed multiple pressures in every single game, and he gave up 2 sacks against the Panthers. And one of the things that I noticed when I was watching him is he gives up a lot of quick pressure. If you're able to use a quick move and get in front of him quickly, it's over for him. And you're going to be able to get a straight line to Tua, who obviously is a quarterback that is not very mobile at all. And so I think if you want to be able to get pressure, and hey, it's all about the matchups, right? You want to be able to put your best pass rusher on their worst pass protector. And I think moving Thule onto the inside, even using a guy like Teair Tart, who you may hear about a little bit later on in the show, would be, I think, a advantageous matchup for the Chargers to be able to get Tua off his spot and get pressure in his face.
Totally agree. Again, I think we know what the Chargers need to do in this one. And also, Cole Strange, who's had to take over at guard for them. Multiple pressures, 5 pressures in the 2 games that he's played for them. And even at tackle, Larry Borum is the one that you want to go after if you're going to target one of those guys. They have a couple of good offensive linemen, but there are some chinks in the armor there, and it can be exploited, and the Chargers will have to do it. But I don't think there's many things more important than the Chargers getting their run defense figured out. I mean, it just is what it is, because you can't get torn up by a team that had 26 rushing yards last week. You can't. You can't do it.
No.
You cannot be the no. Chargers obviously 160 plus yards allowed in both of their last 2 games, and this is a Dolphins team that's had 3 games under 80 rushing yards, which are all losses, and 2 games over 120. So it's very boom or bust for them. Also, you have Devon Achane, who's, Devon Achane, 4.3 speed, 4.3 240. If you let him get the corner on you, it's going to be a long day, and you're going to give up more chunks in the running game too. But if you want to be a physical team, act like it. I think the thing here that scares me is kind of like Cliff Kingsbury. There's going to be a ton of misdirection. There's going to be ways they're trying to trick you. You have to be able to stay disciplined, and you can't fall for it like you did last week where you have a guy walking in for 2 untouched touchdowns. They're going to try to exploit that. This has to be the week the Chargers stop the bleeding.
And I'm hoping we get that guy with that legitimate stopping power coming back off of IR. And, of course, I'm talking about linebacker Denzel Perriman, one of the original San Diego Chargers that's still on the football team. He brings that presence. He brings that physicality. And I've said it many times. When he hits you, you go to the ground and it's over because that's the type of player that he is. And the Chargers, quite frankly, have been missing that physicality and his presence on this defense since he's been out. Say what you want about his coverage ability. He brings those things in spades. And speaking of Devon Achane, not only do you have to worry about him on the ground, but I think it's even more important that you identify where he is as a receiver because he actually has the most receptions on this Dolphins team by a few, by edging out Jalen Waddle. But they love to target him, and especially in the red zone. This guy has 3 receiving touchdowns, and speaking of the red zone, before I forget, you have to identify where Darren Waller is at all times in the red zone. Through 2 games, he has 3 touchdowns. All of those touchdowns took place in the red zone. And also, he's just been a big play threat. 8 of his receptions have gone for first downs. It's crazy. So in the red zone in particular, those 2 guys got to identify where they're at, and you cannot allow those guys to beat you.
Totally agree. And I think, in a game like this where it could be close, the Chargers might not be getting to the red zone as much as they should, right? And the Dolphins might be able to move the ball, and you might have to get off the field in the red zone. It's going to be such an important part. But yeah, that was one of my notes specifically. Take away Darren Waller. Devon Achane, they will just pepper him with targets. They're hoping he slips a tackle and somebody misses a tackle on him and gives him space, and that can turn into a big game. But they're just going to spam that and until you show that you can stop it. So that's a good call there. It's crazy that we're talking about taking Darren Waller away in the year of our Lord 2025. That is nuts. I was definitely not bullish on him being able to take the time off that he did and come back and be a successful story in that way. Maybe I shouldn't have doubted him.
Still looks like a real threat when you watch him out there, Daniel.
Yeah, 100% he does. He, and especially in that Panthers game, looked awesome, especially early on in that game. Devon Achane also had a sick touchdown in the back corner of the end zone, spinning body control.
Great catch.
It was a great catch for a receiver.
Yeah.
A much better catch for a running back. But yeah, in 2 games, Darren Waller has 8 catches for 105 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 13.1 yards per catch. Big weapon on and third down. Big weapon in the red zone. And here's my thing too. Last year, Dan Henley and Derwin James, their calling card throughout the season was they shut down tight ends and they put the straps on tight ends. Now, you look at the Chargers, you take away, one busted 37-yard touchdown from Travis Kelce in that Chiefs game to open up the season. They've done very well against tight ends. You look, and this isn't the best tight end they've gone up against. They've gone up against Brock Bowers, right? So I think that has to be one of the keys for this game. Obviously, Jalen Waddle is the other guy. I think more than anything, though, it's just stay disciplined, tackle, rally to the football, show that urgency, right, to get the ball carried to the ground. Hopefully these last 2 weeks are a wake-up call for this defense that they need to be flying around because this is a very, very fast defense. Yeah. If you miss a tackle and you're leaving that guy's space,
sure.
And honestly, one of the things the Chargers defense isn't really known for is their speed.
Yeah.
Right? They really, don't have an extreme amount of team speed defensively. So when you're going up against a fast offense like this, who wants to just get the ball out quickly and let their guys work after the catch, you have to limit those opportunities, make them convert third downs, make them be able to earn it from you, and you'll be okay. And more than that, you have everything it takes to have a dominant defensive performance against this Dolphins offense. But it's time to put our money where our mouths are in this game, David. Honestly, shouldn't scare me nearly as much as it does, but we're getting into our bold and our game predictions, including if Odafe Oweh could start his Chargers career in style. We're getting into all that and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, though, I need to tell you about FanDuel, because FanDuel is the only place I bet, and the NFL season is here, and they have an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. This is all you have to do. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's a lot of parlays you can build with that, and I love how FanDuel gives you so many ways to play. Obviously, I've built parlays, tried player props as well, even followed the live lines during game. I love live in-game betting where you can get a feel of the game before you put your money there. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. And the odds are still holding steady for this game. This is a huge game against the Dolphins this week. I'm not going to call it a must-win, because obviously the Chargers will get reinforcements back that could look like a different team. But with the teams you have coming up on your schedule, like the Vikings and Colts, it's a big one. And the Chargers are 4.5-point favorites going into this one. They have to be able to get it done. But FanDuel, what makes them great is there's so many other things you can bet on as well. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, David, it's time to put our money where our mouths are and get into our bold and our game predictions. And thank you to all the everydayers out there for giving us your predictions for this one. It's so much funner now that we get you guys involved in this show, and we never know where you guys are going to go with it. And there's a really freaky coincidence that ended up happening, which made me even more glad that we do this segment. But thank you, as always, for making us your first listen. If you need a second listen and you want to keep up with everything around the NFL, make sure to check out Locked On NFL. We have 2 shows a day with Tyler the Madman rolling in the morning and my guy Tony Wiggins in the barbershop later on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. But I wanted to start, David, because me and you haven't been on the same show since the Chargers made their trade for Odafe Oweh, and I think a lot of people have that on their minds as far as looking at this defense and what they can do this weekend. So let's get to this one here from Grant Shaner, who says Odafe Oweh comes out hot and gets 2 sacks in his first game as a Charger, which would be pretty crazy, David, because in 5 games so far, he has 0.
He does have 0, but he also has 4 to 5 games where he's had multiple pressures in those games. 4 of his 5 games, he has netted multiple pressures. So I know that he's been getting close. And also, like, this is an opportunity for him in a contract year to do what he said he wanted to do, which is be able to show what he is capable of, right? Hey, he had 10 sacks last year. This is a guy who can get it done. He can get after the quarterback, and you need somebody on the other side of you to be able to provide some one-on-one opportunities, right? And Thule, the way he's been playing, he has been a one-man wrecking crew quite literally for the Chargers pass rush. Now they have somebody on the other side that you absolutely have to worry about. Yeah. Odafe Oweh has real athleticism, has real burst and speed, and I love the motor that he plays with. And I think that's going to lend itself very, very well to the Chargers now, and even more so when Khalil Mack comes back. But I like this. I like this possibility, especially when you have an immobile quarterback with an offensive line that has clear deficiencies in areas where you can attack. The Chargers know, they're going to put their best athletes out there to try to exploit those matchups. Odafe Oweh unquestionably is one of those athletes.
Yeah, and then it sucks because Thule, obviously, because I think the lack of the other pass rush probably takes more heat than he should, and people act
for sure.
He doesn't. It's weird where the Thule hate is. The man has the 4th most pressures in the league so far this year. Put some respect on Thule's name. Obviously, he has 4 sacks. They all came in one game. I get it. You have to have sacks in other games too, and it's always kind of come with bunches. But I'm so excited to see Thule with a competent edge rusher on the other side of him, or at least an above-average edge rusher. And not only that, but someone who has with the speed to get there, make the quarterback move at the very least, get into throwing lanes, and be able to help out the rest of the defensive line and other edge rushers get home. Because you don't have a season like he's having without those pressures and things leading to other players getting sacks and make
sure.
quarterbacks move to get out of the way of you, and then they end up in the arms of someone else. So wouldn't surprise me at all. Jesse Minter said it's a lot like Thule, where it's like you saw the pressures and you knew if you kept going, he was going to have one of those big games, and I could see that happening for Odafe Oweh for sure. I don't even think it's that crazy. But let's get to this one here from Big Daddy E, who says, bold prediction is Kamani Vidal rushes for over 110 yards and a touchdown, taking over for Hampton. I think if he's going to do it, David, he has to get hot early, because I think they're both going to get chances early on, and whoever kind of does the most with it, if one of those guys can go big early, then they will get the lion's share potentially for the rest of the game.
I completely agree with that. I think that that's absolutely how it's going to be. I think Greg Roman's always going to say from his perspective that it's going to be a by committee approach, but let's be honest. When you get into the game flow and, somebody's ripping off 5, 6, 8, 12 yards whenever they're touching the ball, they're going to get more carries. They're going to get more touches, as they should. And I think at the running back position in particular, it's very much I have to get into a rhythm type of position. When you get out there, you got to get touches, you got to get carries, and whoever is able to maximize those touches, I think, will get the lion's share. And they have a great matchup to be able to exploit this Sunday.
They absolutely do. And if one of them gets 20 carries, you feel like they could have a day like this, right? Because there is the matchup available. It's just, who is anyone going to get that? Like, are they going to call up Amar Johnson? Are they going to call up, Nyheim Hines? We'll see what happens. But it does feel like if one of those guys can get hot early, they could be in for a very, very big game. But let's get to this one here, David, from Benny Forsyth, who says, bold prediction, Oronde Gadsden II has a huge game, 112 yards with 2 touchdowns, which is a gigantic game.
Yeah.
But that's not the weird thing going on here.
Daniel, David, a few bold prediction. The future has arrived. I'm going Oronde Gadsden Jr. 7 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chargers win 34-14. Let's go, baby. Love you.
I don't know how that happened, but because it happened, David, and they somehow went with the exact same stat line for the most part, 112 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think I might believe it.
If Oronde Gadsden goes out there and gets 112 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, I'm buying a lottery ticket immediately. Like,
thought you were going to say you'll shave your head.
Yeah, no, hold on now. I'm not good looking enough to shave my head, so that's definitely not going to happen. I need all of the hair, even though that they are graying, that I can get. So that is definitely not happening. But Oronde Gadsden, I think, also has a good matchup in this one, too. You look at some of the tight ends that have played against the Dolphins. Tyler Warren had 76 yards. Dalton Kincaid had 66 yards on 5 catches. Mason Taylor even had 5 catches for 66 yards. So I think there's been some pretty good tight end performances going up against the Dolphins, and I think Oronde Gadsden needs to be better, much more involved in this game plan. It's very clear and obvious that this guy is impactful in the short, in the intermediate, and I feel like if he's given chances to attack deep, that he'll be able to do that too. More opportunities for OG.
Totally agree. I mean, it does feel like they really game planned up against the Denver Broncos linebackers to have him be a big part of the game plan. And I think the only fault is once you saw what he could do, he hasn't been involved as much, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, last week, even you see in the biggest play of the game, you don't have your best receiving option at tight end getting that last target. It's Tyler Conklin who ends up dropping it. So
hopefully that changes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but yeah, on average, tight ends going 65 yards and 3 total touchdowns this season against this defense they're going up against. So I like Oronde Gadsden. It's just hard to know how much of the game plan he's going to be week to week because they haven't really made him a focal point in this offense. And obviously, there's a lot of mouths to feed, but if your offense is scoring 10 points in a game, it's doing something wrong. So
yeah, you might need to give it to the some other mouths. Yeah,
yeah, some other mouths might need to eat a little bit. But let's get to maybe the boldest prediction of all from Leo Martinez, who says Justin Herbert gets sacked only once. I think this would be a major win. It's a sad, bold prediction, but signs continue to point towards multiple sacks with the current offensive line. No, I think this, if you're doing bold predictions, I think this absolutely qualifies.
And I'll tell you right now, if there's only one sack that the Chargers offensive line gives up they're going to win this game. No question about it. I think if, as we talked about it earlier, if Justin Herbert has time against this defense, you have a, shell of a version of Minkah Fitzpatrick. And then besides that, there's really nobody else in that back end secondary or in the middle that you should be really remotely scared about. I think, Jack Jones is a decent player on the outside, but other than that, like, there's really nobody that you should be afraid of or not go after. So I like that possibility in this game.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Well, no, actually, I think it's wrong. I don't think, it's almost impossible in my mind. If it happens, I agree with you. I think the Chargers win if you could guarantee me that
if
right
it
now.
Happens.
But, like, we're talking about, like, we don't know who's playing, man. Like, literally, like, you're talking about Austin Deculus and Foster Sorrell being the tackles for this game. That's 5 and 6.
Yeah.
That's your 4 tackles. Your 4 best tackles are not going to play in this game potentially.
Yeah, I'll be astonished.
Almost definitely isn't. Trey Pipkins has missed all week. And you wish Trey Pipkins was out there. That's where this situation is at right now. That's the level of code red we're talking about. Per Chris Rim, these are the pass block win rates from the Chargers offensive linemen going into this game. Bradley Bozeman, 54th. There's only 32 centers, obviously not great. Trey Pipkins, 115th. Zion Johnson, 144th. Jamari Sawyer, 147th. And Austin Deculus, 162nd. He's the only player in the NFL, according to Chris Rim, who has a pass block win percentage that's under 70% for the season. And that's the guy you traded for, right? I know he's probably going to get cut from the Texans, but that's where you spent the draft assets as far as the offensive line in this offseason. The only draft assets where you traded that one for Deculus, and you spent a 6th-round pick on Branson Taylor, who's not on the team. It's a dire situation, which is why
his run
this
blocking
game
was just as bad, too.
I mean, yeah, basically Austin Deculus, he was tackle 4, right? Like, it happened after Rashawn Slater went out, so it's like they had to do something. So he was really tackle 3, I guess. He was the next guy up after Joe Walk got hurt. But, like, that guy you traded for has been the worst pass blocking tackle in the NFL and just one of the worst tackles, period. It's not even to, like, insult him or bury him. It's just that's what it's been, right? David, let's go with a joint bold prediction here. I think I know where you're going with this because I heard you talk about him earlier. Tierre Tart is where you're going with your bold prediction today.
Absolutely is. I love the matchup, obviously, for him on the inside against Savai Naya. I think he's going to eat. I think it's going to be 1.5 sacks and 2 batted passes. We got to get back to that. If you don't get to the quarterback, get your hands up and knock that ball down. We know he can do that at a high level.
I love that. I'll switch mine up. I'm going to go with Tony Jefferson getting a sack and an interception. Obviously, the Chargers traded Alohi Gilman to the Ravens as part of the Odafe Oweh trade, which means that Tony Jefferson is stepping into a much bigger role. I'm excited to see R.J. Mickens too, but I think it's going to be the Tony Jefferson show for now. And whenever Tony's been on the field, good things have happened. David, I'm nervous about this game because I just have no trust in the Chargers offense right now. Who do you think wins this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a tough matchup for the Chargers because of how beat up they are. If we're talking about this team at 100%, I'm feeling extremely confident that they're going to win this game, no question about it. But with that being said, they have Justin Herbert, and I'm taking Justin Herbert over Tua every single day of the week, and especially twice on Sunday. And for that reason, and because I feel like they were embarrassed after these past 2 wins, as they should be, they're going to come in here a much more physical, much more technically sound football team, a much more Jim Harbaugh-like football team, and I have them going to Miami and taking a win 24-17.
Yeah, I mean, if they can score 24 points, they're going to have a great chance. It's just so hard to trust the Chargers offense. And, like, I truly, had a hard time deciding on this game. Like, and I know it feels like a hater if I pick the Dolphins, but that's just how kind of bad the Chargers have been over the last couple of weeks. I'm not picking the Dolphins today, though. I do, to your point, not only, more technical, more disciplined, right? Like, you brought it up to me before. Like, I just think the Chargers are going to play a cleaner game here. I don't think they're going to get in their own way as much. They've never lost. I heard this nugget on yesterday's crossover. Never lost 3 games in a row as a Jim Harbaugh team in the NFL. So, don't see it happening here. I think the Chargers going up against a bad Dolphins team find a way to kind of overcome the odds and win 20-16. Chargers win. Dolphins cover according to FanDuel. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. maybe an earlier live show on Sunday. So to make sure you don't miss it, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. Turn those notifications on so you are notified when we go live for that hopefully live victory post-game show. Thank you to everyone who gave us your bold predictions today. If you want to be on the next fan show, call into 323-524-7924 and give us your 30-second Chargers voicemail, or hit us up at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. We also have a Locked On Chargers TikTok. Wherever you look, you can find us, and we post the show to all those places every single day as well. But go get it done. Take care of business game. Get to 4-2, and then we'll start looking ahead to some better teams on the schedule. But it starts now, because if you can't beat this team, it could be a rough next month or so. So get it done, and we'll have a victory post-game show on Sunday. Until then, take it easy and go Bolts.